The Little Women franchise has spawned many notable shows during the last decade, but the Dallas spin-off is visibly one of the best known. While the show introduced us to several new faces, it was noteworthy to see Emily Fernandez and Brie Barlup from the Atlanta series on screen once again. Regardless of its initial success, Little Women Dallas only aired for 2 seasons before being cancelled in 2017, leaving us with many open questions, and above all, missing those wonderful little women we came to love through the show. So whatever happened to the cast of Little Women Dallas? Did they appear in other shows, or disappear from TV altogether? What happened in their personal lives, and is the show ever coming back? This and more we will tell you in this vid. Although Kaylee Woodbury was the youngest girl to ever appear in the Little Women franchise, she didn't have a lot of experience to become memorable. Before the show, she was already known in the local go-go dancing scene as Lil Twerk. During the first season of Little Women Dallas, the audience saw Kaylee struggling with an unexpected pregnancy, and then an involuntary miscarriage, which, besides causing her a lot of emotional distress, also led to some heated arguments between her and other cast members, such as Amanda Loy, who dated the father of Kaylee's miscarried baby after they broke up. As well, Emily Fernandez called Kaylee out for comparing her spontaneous abortion to the death of Emily's baby JJ, who unfortunately passed away when 3 months old in 2016. Fortunately, Kaylee's dark days are left behind now. Since the show's end, Kaylee has welcomed 2 sons, Lexington Miguel, of average size, and Hendrix Paul, who was diagnosed with achondroplasia dwarfism. Kaylee was engaged to her son's father, Daquan Cage, from 2017 to 2020, when they broke up amidst cheating allegations from both sides. Nowadays, Kaylee works as a go-go dancer, promotes brands on her Instagram, and creates content for adult subscription platforms. She was also featured in a Little Women Atlanta episode, and more recently in Paternity Court. As is usual for the cast of Little Women Dallas, every girl must have been involved in some way with the entertainment world prior to appearing in the show. This is no different for Amanda Loy, though instead of being involved with acting or dancing, Amanda had been an accomplished bodybuilder prior to her debut on TV. According to a report by the Daily Mail, Amanda's interest in bodybuilding was always there, but she didn't take the big step until 2014, when she joined the Natural Western USA figure, her first competition in the industry. Though she was placed 4th back then, receiving her first trophy and being widely acclaimed by the audience convinced her that bodybuilding was the right path for her, even if back then she was the smallest woman to compete in said world. During her appearances in Little Women Dallas, we saw Amanda struggling with health problems related to breast augmentation surgery, facing drug-related accusations, and her drama-filled relationship with Chase, who was her castmate Kaylee's ex. Although Amanda and Chase ended up moving to California together by the end of the show, they eventually broke up. Though it's unknown what happened to her bodybuilding career, Amanda now travels the country in her van and performs with Zope Circus. While she wasn't always up to a lot of drama, Tiffany Chance was still a very memorable Little Women Dallas cast member. At the time of the show's premiere in 2016, Tiffany had just graduated as a cosmetologist from the Ohio-based Raphael School of Beauty Culture. However, what should have been the start of her path to settle down and become independent turned out to involve many problems for her. As the series progressed, viewers were flabbergasted to see Tiffany struggling with her 5-year-long relationship with Austin Skovran while trying to comply with her father's traditionalist views. Her long-term friendship with Kaylee was also affected by her tumultuous romantic story with Austin, who actually proposed to her, only to be rejected. To the surprise of the audience, Tiffany sent him back to Ohio when he showed no signs of wanting a job, though he later returned and asked her for forgiveness. Though Tiffany and Austin's relationship seemed hopeless when they broke up by the 2nd season's finale, they eventually reunited and now have their own apartment in Arizona, as seen on her Instagram. However, her once active profile on the video commission platform Cameo is now unavailable, and it's unknown what she's doing professionally nowadays. Also known as Left Cheek, Brie Barlup is definitely an unforgettable member of Little Women Dallas. Any good fan of the series franchise already knew Brie from the Atlanta-based show. Although at first it was surprising to see Brie moving to Dallas so suddenly, the change made sense, both professionally and emotionally, as Brie tried to get over her ex, Wooda, and prevent her dance act with Emily from being affected by the distance. As could have been predicted, things in Dallas didn't go smoothly for Brie. Her joint dance act, The Cheeks, and the friendship with Emily became stagnant at some point, while her relationship with Wooda seemed to be going around in circles. Following the show's end, Brie and Emily returned to Atlanta, when they teamed up again as The Cheeks, despite the awkwardness surrounding their friendship. Brie and Emily released several songs together too, including the successful Project X. However, the women reportedly cut ties in 2019, and Brie blocked her from all her social media. In 2020, Brie released her own song, Love Me, and boxed against her Little Women Atlanta co-star Abira Green the following year. While it's unclear if she's still with Woody, in 2019 she gave birth to Carter, who apparently is their second son together after Malik. Just like her fellow castmates, Emily Fernandez's life dramas were a big issue in the show. Prior to debuting in the Dallas series, Emily was known to the audience of Little Women Atlanta, in which her complicated pregnancy and subsequent death of her son JJ at only 3 months old left us all heartbroken. While the idea of moving to Dallas to look for a change was apparently brought out by Emily, and Bree followed her to support her, the duo evidently distanced themselves from each other in their new city. As the show's viewers might recall, Emily's lack of interest in returning to the nightclub scene, added to her negativity regarding Bree's modeling career, resulted in many arguments between the so-called best friends. By the time Emily and Bree moved back to Atlanta following the end of Little Women Dallas, their relationship was obviously strained. Even their return as the Cheeks was overshadowed by the issues between them, resulting in the end of both their professional ties and friendship in 2019. Emily now performs on her own as Right Cheek and creates content for adult subscription sites. She's also the happy mother of 2 little kids, though she always remembers JJ with heartfelt posts on her social media. While the rest of the cast was dealing with romantic issues, Asta Young stood out from them as the focused but funny girl of the group. She had been married to Ty Goosen since 2015, and though a few of their marital problems were featured in the show, those were usually not that serious compared to those of her castmates. However, that doesn't mean Asta's stay in the show went smoothly, as she dealt with her own share of drama and personal issues. For starters, viewers got to see her struggling with self-esteem, as her eczema and the scars which said condition marked her skin made her job as a cosplayer and model a difficult one. Always loyal to her love for nerd culture and art, Asta was known by the Little Women Dallas audience for her cosplay-themed parties and uplifting spirit. However, she was dead serious when it came to business, which is why it was unsurprising that a beef between her and Emily Fernandez started, when the latter apparently stole Asta's idea to establish a bar for little people. Fast forward to the present day, Asta's art webshop is unavailable, but she's still active in the cosplay scene. Fortunately, she and Ty are still together, and seem quite happy as the owners of 4 pug dogs. Despite starting in the show as a recurring cast member, Rochelle Humphrey quickly gained the heart of the Little Women Dallas audience and was in the main cast by the 2nd season. Although Rochelle was known for always speaking her mind, she was still less prone to drama than her fellow stars. Her maturity regarding relationships and friendship made her stand out from the rest, but her funny and lighthearted attitude was always welcomed, considering the dramas all the other girls had going on. Every keen fan of Little Women Dallas knows that Rochelle and Kaylee were quite close, but it's unknown if that friendship remained after the show ended, as no recent pics of Kaylee are seen on Rochelle's social media. Despite the potential loss of her longtime friend, and no signs of a new flame since her breakup from Leroy, Rochelle seems quite pleased with life nowadays. Not only has she become an entrepreneur by starting a small commercial trucking company in 2020, but the pics she shares on Instagram also tell us that everything is well for her and her family. Even though many know Daquan Cage for his appearances in Little Women Dallas as Kaylee Woodbury's boyfriend turned fiancé, his debut in TV dates back to 2012, when he competed in The X Factor, but didn't pass the 3rd elimination round. While his appearances in the Dallas and Atlanta shows of Little Women were brief, later he and Kaylee were featured in detail by 9 Months with Courtney Cox, an online documentary which allowed them to express their real feelings regarding their second and high-risk pregnancy. Fortunately, progress was perfect, and their son Hendrix Paul was born in 2020. They had already welcomed Lexington Miguel in 2017. Nonetheless, Daquan and Kaylee's apparently happy life together eventually ended. In early 2020, Daquan's doubts about Hendrix's paternity were made public in the show Paternity Court, followed by the couple's definitive split late that year. Fast forward to present times, Daquan is apparently still thriving to make his music career grow, but looks quite pleased with his relationship with the model Jace Ivana Cage, who he married in late 2021, but has apparently been with since early 2020. Though his real name is actually Cordero Bowen, he was known by the audience of Little Women as Woody, the father of Bree Barlup's children. Apparently, he was never in a relationship with her, something which clearly hurt Bree, as seen in the show. I know he hates titles, but it breaks my heart to hear him tell someone else we're not a couple. Despite not being in an official relationship, Woody broke up from Bree at the start of the 2nd season of Little Women Dallas, not wanting to be tied to her after being signed by a record label. However, only a couple of months later, he was revealed as the father of her 2nd child, Carter. Nowadays, Bowen is still pursuing a rap career under the name Ratchet Ass Woody, and stays in contact with Bree and his children. Out of all the boyfriends of the Little Women Dallas girls, Ty Goosen was evidently the least problematic. Not only was his marriage with Asta Young very stable, but he was also very supportive of her. While Ty keeps most of his personal and professional endeavors out of his social media, it's known that he worked for several years for the restaurant The Porch in Arcadia, where Asta also works as a creative director. However, in 2021, he left that job to focus solely on his design business, Graphics Goose. One of the big accomplishments of Little Women Dallas during its 2 years on air was being named Texas's favorite reality show by the website cabletv.com. However, being loved by the audience isn't always enough for the industry, and that's why the show was cancelled in 2018, as reported by the Dallas News, without much of an explanation. While at this point we can only theorize what was the real reason behind the end of Little Women Dallas, the least we can do is to keep supporting our favorite little women in their personal endeavors, while hoping to see them on TV again, hopefully in the near future.
Thank you for spending some time with us. Make sure to like and subscribe so you never miss another video. We also handpick these videos which we recommend you watch next. You can talk to us on all social medias or ask a question in the comments below. Thank you for being with us, and we'll see you back tomorrow.